Anyway, I was talking this morning about legalism, and I was alluding to the Pharisees and their attitude. And with the story, I left off with that story of the man which had a withered hand. This was in Mark 3, verse 4. And it starts at 1. I already read that part. They washed him whether he would heal him, the man with the withered hand, on the Sabbath day, that they might accuse him. And I pointed out that that's what legalism does. It becomes a matter of accusation, and you better do it that way. Somebody told me one time, and I got that picture in my head, it's really sad. Somebody related to me that their dad told them she had to always make the bed of him and her mom. But he'd come in there and supervise her making the bed. And before she was even done, if she was about ready to go on the other side of the bed to pull a wrinkle out, make it smooth, he would already have hit her because there's that wrinkle. There's a wrinkle. And she wasn't done yet. She wasn't done making the bed, and he was already, he was looking for a way to exercise authority and accuse her. And that's how legalism thinks. And I'm going to tell you that in my 20s, I had quite a bit of authority. When you're a welfare worker, if the clients don't do what you tell them to do, you have the authority to cut their welfare grant off, which for a lot of people is their only income in their house. That's a lot of authority when you say, well, I'm going to set up this meeting with you with the employment office, and if you don't show up, we're going to have a hearing, and if you've done that several times now, you can lose your grant. You can use it. And I'm saying how easy it is to be a Pharisee from time to time. You can literally take it personally when you have the authority and you tell a person what they have to do or else, and they're disappointed. They're disobedient, and you feel... You can take it personal. If you're young and stupid, like I was, ignorant, I should say. Ignorant. I've never been stupid, but I've been ignorant a lot. You can be like, she was all friendly with me in her house call, and then I told her what she had to do, and she just thumbed her nose at it and didn't do it. You can take that personally. And I have a feeling that's what those religious authorities in Jesus' day fell into, that it wasn't only, if you really love people and you tell them the rule, like if I tell you, no, you don't need to become a trans, that's wicked. God made you a woman, you need to stay a woman. Well, what if I'm not attracted to men? Well, then embrace celibacy like Paul did. I'm not saying he did it for that reason, he didn't, but I'm just saying you don't need sex. I was told you need sex. You don't need sex the way you need food. That's a lie. You don't live without food. You can live your whole life without sex. It's not a necessity. So if you got this, but if I talk to you like that, that's love. I'm trying to keep you off a path of doing something you're going to regret. Amen. You're going to regret it. One day you're going to if you mutilate your body, one day you're going to regret that. I'd say 9 times out of 10. I never say that. There's no exceptions to things. But when I tell you that, it shouldn't be about, oh, you didn't listen to me. Anyway, when these guys, they not only told them the rules, they took it personal when the disciples didn't obey the rule. When the disciples had the nerve not to be ashamed because they were plucking corn on the Sabbath. The Pharisees acted as if it were their own rules instead of finding verses in the scripture that would say, we're messengers of what God has to say, and this is what we believe these different verses are saying about the thing you're doing. And the Lord's made it clear that if you love him, you'll obey him, and I'm sure you'll be happy to know what he doesn't appreciate because you love him. That should be our attitude. But instead, sometime when we're given authority, we take it as if we're not ambassadors to the state of Michigan. We are this. It's me. It's not me, it's the state, even as a pastor. This isn't me. I'm trying my best to get across what I believe is the heart of God. And if I miss it, I expect some of y'all will either email me or call me or after church tell me, did you happen to think of this other verse that doesn't quite mesh? You might want to go home and study that out. I appreciate that kind of stuff. You've seen people do that to me right while I'm preaching. And I go, oh, yeah, let me think about that. And I might come back and say, yeah, I could have done that better. It's no big deal. It's not me. I want to change it because it's God's reputation at His word at stake, not mine. My reputation would take a hit if I got all proud and say, how dare you, nah, nah, nah. Then you'd be like, good night, what a proud somebody, she's going to fall. That guy in Defiance, Ohio, that got busted for all his many sins, his attitude was, and he felt he was an apostle, his attitude was, if you have a critique of me, you have to be a fellow apostle. If you would go up to him as a so-called layperson and say, you know, what you just shared in the scripture doesn't really fit because there's 3 other scriptures that contradict it. He's not going to say, thank you, I'll study it out. How dare you? You have no right to speak into my life in any way, shape, or form. We're not peers. What? Shut up. You know, just junk. That's just junk. It really is. Of course, if I were his member, I wouldn't say shut up. I'm just saying what my heart thinks. I've never been his member, so. But I'm just saying, these people that were waiting to accuse him. Let me read on, I'll just show you how evil it gets. Did I read the verse that said that they might accuse him? And they watched, and that's true. Whether he'd heal on the Sabbath day, that they might accuse him. That was their motive. What should be their motive? They really believed it was a wrong thing, truly believed that it was a wrong thing to do on the Sabbath. What should their motive be? Go ahead, Rebecca. Yeah, you have to be alert in this house, Cam. It just keeps popping.
It should have been to help him to understand the word in love, not in, this is what it is, I'm the right, you're wrong. So they should have had an attitude of love. And
I don't want you to sin and get in trouble.
Exactly.
That should be your attitude. If you go up to somebody and say, you're not supposed to be with that person tonight, your wife's on a ministry trip and you're in the restaurant and it's 10 o'clock at night alone and you're about the same age and both are very attractive, this looks bad. That's not to come to say, gotcha, I'm better than you, you need to listen to me. That's to say, you're on thin ice right now and you could really get hurt. And you could hurt some other people. You need to be careful. That's love. People read it today as hate. That's love. That's what love is. A friend will rebuke you. The kisses of an enemy is what's deceitful. Flattery is deceitful. A friend that says, you're on thin ice. You both need to go home and never do this again. It looks bad. You should have taken one more friend with you or something. Looks really bad, you know. But whatever. And maybe both the spouses are in the bathroom, who knows, but then you don't say, you're just judging me and both of our spouses are in the bathroom. You take it on face value what that person just thought they saw. You don't try to ping pong slam them. You say, thank you. You love me enough to speak the truth. By the way, it might comfort you to know that our spouses are with us. They're just both in the bathroom coincidentally at the same time or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, they wanted to accuse him. And he said, Jesus said to the man which had the withered hand, stand forth. And he saith unto them, to the Pharisees. Jesus stood up. You know, people always talk about speak truth to power. Jesus did. These people, when Jesus was little, these are the guys that would have taught him children's church in the synagogue. These are the guys that were to the Jews, the religious authorities were more important than the Roman authorities. The religious authorities ruled their lives in so many details. And he spoke truth to power by way of a question. And he said unto them, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath days? Now do not read that verse to Robert. He'll put that right up there with get the cow out of the ditch and nothing will be sacred on the Sabbath by the time he's done. I'm teasing, really. But anyway, we have had cow in the ditch arguments before of what constitutes a cow in the ditch. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. Okay. It's lawful to do on the good on the Sabbath, or to do evil, to save life or to kill. And they held their peace. That's another thing the Pharisees did a lot. I don't know if you noticed that, but many times it'd be like, man, I shared one of them this morning. We don't know what to say, because if we say it this way, then this. They weren't into what's the truth, we'll boldly say it. They were into what's the consequence if we frame it this way. We need a strategy meeting to decide exactly, to be in one accord about what our unified stand is going to be on this thing. None of them are sincere. They just want something they think is going to work for them, and they'll stay in power. I think that can be a very political practice too. What's going to be our story? Let's get it straight. Let's all have the same story so that we look good with the people. Let's frame it this way. And here's another time. I told you there's more times than just the people that sold things in the temple, that when he threw over the tables with the money changers, Jesus got angry more than that. And here's another instance right here. And when he looked round about them with anger, why is he angry? He knew what they were thinking. He knew they were trying to trap him. And he knew all they were trying to do is, how can we still stay on the trail of trapping him and answer this and then move forward to trap him? And he got him. He got him. He always did have him. Like, are we supposed to pay Caesar? Whose coin is this? Caesar. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And they were looking like, oh man, I never even thought he'd come up with that. He's slick. But Jesus wasn't trying to be slick. He just said wise things. He wasn't trying to play ping pong slams. He looked around about them with anger, being grieved. So he was sad and angry. He was sad and angry, both. These were the leaders of the people. If you're 15 years old and you're going to your spiritual authority for help and advice, these are the turkeys you'd have to go to. The ones that want to trap Jesus. That's who you'd have to listen to. And everything they said was to their own advantage and how they could exploit people. For instance, Jesus said, you do things to widows in order to get their houses. You rip people off. You're thinking about your own gain. How can you gain out of this? How can you gain out of this? That makes Jesus mad. When people are looking to entrap a righteous person. Jesus is disgusted at that. And I pray that before what's-his-name dies, he gets it straight, the one that just murdered Charlie. I hope he gets it straight, because right now I'm sure Jesus isn't thrilled with him at all. Because he knocked down a person trying to do their best to speak in harmony with the Word of God. Go ahead, Ron. That makes Jesus mad. You don't think of Jesus as getting angry, do you? All that one time. Well, here's another one. I'll get you, Rebecca. God help the Pharisees if they were on Facebook. Jesus would have like 1 million likes, and they'd have a whole lot of thumbs down, and they'd be like, want to kill him all the more. You know, wait a minute, the people are all running after him. And he said to the disciples, you're filling Jerusalem. And they were livid with rage. They didn't want the best for the people. They wanted their own power. That's what they wanted. Yes, ma'am.
I was just noticing, it said right after, it said he was grieved at the hardness of their hearts.
Yep.
So he was actually searching their hearts. He was examining the heart condition they had. So it wasn't just like they were stupid about it. He knew their heart condition and where they were coming from. So I think if they had the right heart in it, he wouldn't have been so upset.
Yeah, that's what's so scary, that we can put up a good front down here, and at our funeral people can go, and then he did this and he did that, and you think of 1 Corinthians 13, you gave your body to be burned, you gave away all your goods, but if you have not love, you have nothing, you're nothing. And God looks to the motive of the heart. God looks, you ever hear people say, fake it till you make it? That is such junk. What's the goal? I want to make it. What does that mean? What does it mean I want to make it? What does that mean? What do I want to look like? Rich, popular, beautiful home. I'm up to here. This is not true of me. I'm up to here in debt. But I'm going around like I can throw the dinner parties of the year, and every time I get another round of steaks, I sink deeper into debt. But what's important? My image. My image. And that's where these guys were. My image. Being popular. People, things are not as they seem. Babylon is miserable. You ever watch some of the movies on some of these things like Prime, Amazon Video, Prime Video, those kinds of things? Do you see lately, it's more than I've ever seen before, maybe I'm just noticing, but it looks like all the successful, beautiful people in a movie, the first thing they do when they have a meeting with a client in a restaurant, they want a shot of whiskey, then another shot of whiskey. Right in their offices, there's a whole cart. I'm not talking about just one, I'm talking about it's becoming more and more common. Then the person goes home to their apartment, and there they are drinking drink after drink, and some even snorting lines of cocaine, and they have this image of being these beautiful, successful, wealthy people, some with penthouses that look over all of Manhattan. I know that's fiction in a movie, but that is also reality. It's humans that write these scripts, and humans that know exactly what they're doing, that here's your comfort, here's your strength. I can have this meeting, I can have this confrontation if I have 3 shots of whiskey. Then maybe I can handle this stress if I do that, or when I get home I'll do that. Or I'll take whatever it takes. Frank Sinatra was quoted as saying, because he drank a lot, he was quoting as said, whatever gets me through the night, just because how hard it was to sleep and relax and come down from all the, and you think of Frank Sinatra, that man, if he wanted to have a lobster dinner with lobster out of the Mediterranean, and he's in New York, he can order a jet to pick some up and have somebody deliver it to his house. He had anything he wants, is my point. But he was miserable. He was not a happy man. What's his name? Howard Hughes? He turned into almost an animal. The world wants to keep up this front. Like these guys that were doing Jesus like that, you better believe when they were home alone, they were miserable. When you're 25 years old and somebody makes you a priest to do a special thing, woo, woo, I'm somebody, I made it. You get to be 60, 70, you begin to realize what values you trampled over in order to get to where you are, and you are filled with regret. It's a rare person that has the humility to say, you know, like a Whitney Houston, who was raised in the church, you know what? I was happier when I was 16 singing in my childhood choir. It'd be a rare person that'd be able to say, forget all this, I'm going to slice it, and I'm going to go back into a simple life, serving the Lord. You know, whatever Al Green is or isn't, he did that. He's got, Karen Cook went, where did she go? Did you visit Al Green's church? Did you visit some well-known, who did? Somebody did, I thought it was you. Somebody I know quite well, but I forgot who it was, went there. But I watched his church on TV. He's typical Pentecostal, like Bethel, you know. But he dropped all those fame vestiges. He didn't go back and forth like Elvis. Elvis would say, oh, I love to sing with, who do you sing with? The Staple Singers? Who do you love to sing with? One of those, huh? Stamps, Staples, it's all office. Anyway, he sang with those guys, and he loved it. They started out in a gospel quartet when he started singing. And he was informed by the record company, gospel doesn't sell. You ever hear some of Elvis's gospel? It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Huh? They did sell. Yeah, exactly, but maybe it was before the time they started selling. I don't know. All I know is they told him no, and then he went and did rock and roll and rhythm and blues. But Elvis knew better. Elvis knew better. He could have sliced all that womanizing, all that drugs, and just gave himself back to gospel and ministering. And think of he had so much favor. Think of the glory that would have been given to God if he'd say, I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if I'm going to live on 50 grand a year instead of $1 million a year. I don't care. All I want is a good relationship with my Lord. These Pharisees, their thing was, people-pleasing, image, power, money, and Jesus came along and he didn't care about money. He didn't care about pleasing people. He cared about pleasing God, and it exposed the Pharisees for their evil, hard hearts, and they could handle it. That's why Charlie Kirk is dead. It exposes people for their evil hearts. He would speak lovingly and respectfully to people that absolutely disagreed with him. If they were, if they were having a dialogue back and forth and it was reciprocal, he would speak very lovingly, very lovingly. And it's like, he's doing the very thing that they've been trying to shut us down now for years, and Charlie did it with grace. And they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. There's some people out there rejoicing and saying he deserved it, and rejoicing in that. And we said, that's what they did to Jesus. I'm going to finish this passage. Said he looked about with anger, being grieved for the hardness of their heart. He saith unto the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he stretched it out, and his hand was restored, whole as the others. And the Pharisees went forth, and straightway took counsels with the Herodians against him, against Jesus, how they might destroy him. Bear in mind, this guy with the withered hand just got healed. And they're more concerned about destroying Jesus because he's stealing their thunder, their religious position. They're more concerned about it. And if you don't think that's not going on today, you are wrong. There's tremendous competition between denominations to be the mega, be the it church, be the this, be the that. There's tremendous, young men trying to, again, fake it till you make it. Look like you're successful, hang around with people that are, say you've been mentored by a certain person in order to seem more than what you are. Me being mentored by Loie doesn't make me Loie. She was well known in charismatic circles, but that doesn't make me her. That doesn't make me her. That doesn't give me, unless I grow up into what she's trying to train me to be, it's just name dropping in order to seem like somebody. You would be shocked how many ministers aren't just all out jealous of any progress somebody has and want to throw shade on them, one way or another, throw shade on them for whatever reason. I'll tell you one more story and then I'm going to quit, because this one hit me so hard. When him and I were dating, people were real, my sister in particular, because she thought we'd always be together with our kids. And when she got remarried, she didn't say a word about divorce and remarried. But when I wanted to marry Robert, no, you can't do that. Well, the whole group was like that. And we really loved each other quite quickly into our relationship. It was unusual how quickly we realized we were what God wanted to be together. And people were just derailing it. One guy had a whole lesson on divorce and remarriage and adultery and yada, 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 yada. Loie checked out everything because she's a stickler. But anyway, they were trying to keep us apart. And finally, this George Patterson guy I was telling you about in the children's church over at Bethel, he said this, and this was a story he used as an illustration of how the Pharisees were so upset about Jesus healing somebody on a Sabbath, they lost sight of the kind of love that would rejoice because the man was healed. And he said, we're coming close to that right now with Robert and Rosemary, because both of them have been rejected and need a spouse. Both of us really needed a spouse. Even I might think I didn't, but I did. And and he was pointing out we should rejoice that they found each other and not keep picking at, is it okay? Should they stay celibate and single the rest of their life? They were just, and my sister was sure the answer was yes, of course, until she met somebody she wanted to marry. Then I didn't hear another word about divorce and remarriage, not one more word. As soon as she wanted to, she married a millionaire, which great, good for her. I'm weird about money. If I love somebody, I could be in a yurt and I'd be fine. I'm just like, that's just how I am. But that's how these guys were. They didn't care about the guy getting healed. All they cared about, gotcha. You healed on a Sabbath. You broke the law. Jesus never broke the law. So evidently there's something about, and then another verse he said to the Pharisees, come on, you hypocrites. If you've got an animal that fell into the ditch and it's Sabbath, you get them out of that ditch. That's the cow in the ditch theory of this is okay because it's a flat tire, it's a cow in the ditch. It's my animal, my horse I ride home. It broke its leg, only this time it's a flat tire, whatever. But I'm just saying, we can't be so legalistic with people that we forget, Jesus said this, we forget the higher values of mercy and love. Like when he's talking about the Sabbath in another passage, he said, they were complaining about the disciples pulling corn out of the cornfields. And Jesus is like, man was not made for the Sabbath. Sabbath was made for man. In other words, Sabbath is supposed to be a blessing to people, not a rod you hit them over the head with. It's supposed to be a blessing, a time of rest and relationship and beauty, you know. So I was trying to get across, there is such a thing as getting all legalistic about stuff God doesn't even care about, King James or whatever, or da-da-da. There's a whole list of things the world would point at you for that God's not condemning you for. And to know that we need to love and be merciful over nitpicking, over, was that the exact, you know, she says she's a Christian, but I was in the car with her and she was going 7 miles over the speed limit. How many times haven't you gone 7, I make illustrations up, there's not somebody sitting here that's true for. I mean, they might be like that, but I don't have them in mind. But how many times are you driving and you're not aware, unless you put that little speed thing on, you know, where that regulates it, my car, it's a wicked car. If I don't pay attention to the speed limit deal, my car wants to go 80 miles before you know it on the expressway. You can look down, and Robert too, his car too. You can look down, it's 80, 85 if you're on a trip, and it's wide open space, you know. Before you know, it's 80, 85. It was not, okay, now I'm going to go 85. It ain't like that. It's like you're just cruising away, having a great time, and all of a sudden you look at the sky, oh, that doesn't happen to anybody else? Yeah. I had no idea. I got to remember to put that little thing on, you know. And a lot of people do things that are technically not the best choice, but it's not some intentional bad heart, you know. And when we judge others, we have to take many, many layers of consideration in. In fact, better yet, we need to be really careful about trashing somebody or trying to get a gotcha. Because we don't like them, we want to get them out of the way. So we want a gotcha so we can destroy them. We, mankind, humans, not you, Joshua. Anyway, that's my little sermon on legalism and how Jesus got mad at that.